and you're listening to episode 45 of The Place of Sound. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, and for those of you who have been following along through the past few episodes of the show, welcome back. For those of you who happen to be listening for the first time, The Place of Sound is a show that explores the theme of space or the social geography using sound and listening. We do so through a variety of audio media formats, so you can expect to do a few different types of listening in a single show. Episodes consist of what we refer to as audio portraits, or oral history-style interviews, that explore the topic of home. Soundscape compositions, which use everyday sounds to communicate the personal and social significance of a given place. And we typically end the episode with a short documentary-style piece that explores the place-based identity of the producer. The aim with these particular projects is to allow the producer to think about the places that made them who they are today. These are the types of projects you can expect to hear on The Place of Sound. And in this episode, all of them were produced by students here at Carleton University. They are what gets produced in COM's 4501 Digital Media Production, which is a fourth-year workshop course in the Communications and Media Studies program taught by Vincent Andrusani. Okay, on to the projects. In this episode, we'll listen to an audio portrait, a soundscape composition, and an audio documentary. 3 projects in total. The first is an audio portrait by Jordan Wegner titled Dirt. It consists of an interview that Jordan conducted on the topic of home. In it, the interviewee, Carrie, talks about what home means to her today with her experience moving from Saskatchewan to Ottawa. In doing so, she describes the drive over to Ottawa and the smells that reminded her of home. Although her transition was something she was hesitant about, she found home in unexpected ways. The second project is a soundscape composition titled Revisiting a Place of Comfort by Rachael Hind. In this piece, Rachael tells the story of her years competitive swimming. She takes us to her local swimming spot and the sounds that are most nostalgic to her. She describes how swimming is a big part of her life that will always bring her comfort. And lastly, we'll listen to an audio documentary by Caroline Workman titled Through the Vents. This piece is about her move to Ottawa and experiencing early 20s living with some of her closest friends. She describes the transitions she had to make through her university career and how going back home to Calgary brought her back to herself. All right, let's begin with Jordan Wegner's audio portrait titled Dirt. Jordan, over to you.
Hi, my name is Jordan Wegner, and I'm a fourth-year comm student at Carleton University. Today, you'll be listening to an interview with Carrie Bailey, who details her experiences of moving across provinces and what exactly home means to her. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Carrie Bailey, and I am from Ottawa, but originally from Saskatchewan. I grew up in a small town in Saskatchewan called Imperial. It's one of those towns where if you blink, you will not see it. I grew up on a farm where my dad was born, so we never moved around, and so home was a location that I always went back to. When my husband got the job in Ottawa, it was really difficult for me to agree to go. And it was something that we talked about, we prayed about, and I did not want to come out here. Our firstborn was 6 months old. And I really felt like I was moving away from home because everybody was in Saskatchewan and I was moving to this big city, Ottawa, where I knew nobody and starting over again. So my husband, myself, and a 6-month-old drove across country in a big moving truck. And it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Our baby was wanting to eat and going to the bathroom, and we're having to stop. And it was a horrible, horrible trip. But we were driving from Hunt Club to Fallow Field. I had my window open and you could smell the dirt. And I loved the smell of the dirt. It reminded me of home. And I loved driving that bit because they would be harvesting and I could smell the wheat and I could smell, and it was the smells. The smells are the things that remind me of home the most. Even, and I know this sounds horrible, when I smell manure, my first thought is home. not, oh, this is disgusting, but it's because I grew up on a farm. So we got here and I didn't know anybody. It started feeling more like home when I allowed myself to open up, because I prefer not opening myself up because you don't get hurt if you don't open yourself up. But in the same way, you don't create those bonds and you don't create that group of friends that become your family if you don't open yourself up and allow yourself to be hurt. And it was nice that the position that we moved to was a pastor position at a church, because a church family comes around you. And so right away, there were people in our lives that helped us. We had pretend grandmas. Our kids, our oldest, had a pretend grandma, and she would go over and have sleepovers at Grandma Doris's. And we created our own family. So with each move, I have a group of people that are like my family. And with the first move, that's when I realized that I needed to open myself up to others in order to gain relationships and to have that feeling of home and not feel like a stranger in the place in which I lived. And each place that we have moved to, I don't do it fast, but there are certain people that I feel like, okay, I can let my guard down. And those people become like our family. And it doesn't matter if we haven't talked to them for years or seen them for years. They are still our family. And when we go back, we still pick up exactly where we left off. As I grew up and got married and moved around a few different provinces, home became the people in which I was doing life with. So my family, my husband, my support people, my kids, those became my home.
My name is Rachael Hind, and I am a fourth-year comms student. For this assignment, I decided to revisit a space of comfort, and for me, the space is at the pool in the Nepean Sportsplex. For some context, I was a competitive swimmer, and I spent most of my life in the water swimming. So I wanted to revisit and share my experience in the space through sound. I miss it. I was a competitive swimmer for most of my life, but I stopped. Not because I stopped enjoying it. I mean, how could I? After all, it was hard to find myself for the better part of my life. But the older I got, and the more my life changed, swimming became less of a priority. I still feel immense pride and passion for the sport, and I do still consider it a part of my identity because it was a building block to who I am now as a person and an athlete. So I wanted to take this opportunity to revisit that space and the sounds that provided me with feelings of comfort for all those years. Just like a lot of other kids, my parents threw me into a bunch of different sports. My brother, he fell in love with hockey, but I fell in love with swimming. And my love for swimming comes from my love and adoration for the water and the way it made me feel and still makes me feel. The sounds of splashing and seeing the water ripple with every gracefully executed stroke and kick. It all brings back a bevy of fond memories and feelings of happiness, as these sounds resonate in my ear. Even hearing my coach's whistle ring. And I think a lot of people might find that not really a comforting sound because it symbolizes competition, which can create feelings of stress or anxiety. But competing was something I enjoyed. Even the memories followed by hearing the pitch of the buzzer sound that signals the start of a race. It's also clear in my mind, and I can see myself wading, swimming, and moving through the water with such ease and delicacy. Yet each stroke and kick is precise and focused. These sounds all bring me feelings of peace, bliss, and absolute tranquility. I'm able to completely relax as I imagine the water surrounding my body as I dive in off the side of the pool for the starting block. I can even hear my breathing becoming stressed as I swim lap after lap. And with every breath and every stroke, my heartbeat grows faster and louder as if the water amplified it. My face even starts to flush with red from the intensity of fast-paced movements. But my rhythm is never altered nor thrown off. I realized very early on that no other sport would compare or make me feel the same way. Even with the pressure of competition, the water could always settle my nerves. The coach said to me once, "The water works with you, and never against you." Those words stuck with me, and for years I would say those words to myself before every competition. I miss it. But I am grateful for that part of my life, because now, in moments of stress or high anxiety, I think of these sounds and I can envision myself moving gracefully through and under the surface of the water. And if someone were to ask me what my happy place was, I would tell them everything I'm telling you right now. At the end of the day, the water and the atmosphere of this space provides me with a mental escape because it provided me with comfort for countless of years. Everything going on above the surface just fades away.
Before we continue on to the last project, here's a quick public service announcement from So Far Ottawa, a local music events startup company responsible for various small performances throughout the city. So Far Sounds is a global music community that connects artists and audiences through live music. We bring people together to create space where music matters in 400 cities around the world, including Ottawa.
Here's how it works. 3 unannounced artists. Each So Far show features different musical styles, and the audience doesn't know who's performing until they're on stage. Once you do, you just might fall in love. Curators. About once a month, So Far Ottawa welcomes a guest curator to pick the acts. The curators range from local producers, artist collectives, and labels.
One unexpected space. From museums and boutiques, to rooftops, and to your neighbor's living room or backyard. We keep the location secret until the day before the show. We love showcasing Ottawa's unique local businesses and spaces.
A different way to see live music. Our community creates an inclusive space where music matters so that you can get lost in the performance. So Far Sounds is a great way to discover new music, new spaces, and make new friends.
Here's what a show can sound like.
This next song, I love writing, and lyrics are very important to me, so this next song is in my opinion, a very lyrical song, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Hopefully what I wrote makes sense. So, the song is called For Today.
Want to perform, host, or check out a show? Go to sofarsounds.com or follow So Far Ottawa on Instagram. That's SOFAR sounds.com.
Thank you.
Back to the final project of the episode. This is an audio documentary by Carolyn Workman titled Through the Vents. Carolyn?
Hi, my name is Caroline Workman, and I'm a fourth-year Communications and Media Studies student here at Carleton. This is a 9-minute audio documentary that aims to showcase my settlement in Ottawa through transitional ages, cities, and friendships. I hope you enjoy listening as I did making it. I turn 22 tomorrow, which is pretty crazy considering I feel like I just turned 21, and 20, and 19. All these years feel old to me. The lines between them feel blurred, and as I think back on each one, I think back to each place and space I was in. At 19, I had just moved to Ottawa. I was in my first year of university here at Carleton. After high school, I had packed my 50-pound suitcase and moved into residence. But I wasn't alone. I came to Carleton with a lifelong friend, Andrea. We grew up together, since grade 1, but separated when we went to different high schools. Together, we shared one tiny dorm room, and now we share a house with 3 other wonderful girls. I sat down with Andrea to talk about our friendship and how we have truly grown up together over the years.
I remember I was really nervous about moving into res, nervous about moving away from home, but I was also so happy that we were moving in together, right? That we didn't have to be with strangers. I also think it's crazy that we ended up in the same place, especially because we kind of lost touch a little bit in high school. And the fact that we both were going to Carleton is absolutely insane, because obviously Carleton's so far away from Calgary. And the fact that we were both going there, mind-blowing.
In spring of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic struck. And like many others, Andrea and I packed up our bags and moved back home to Calgary. While in Calgary for over a year, I shared many new experiences with my friends and family back home. I turned 20 and continued taking all my classes online until Andrea and I decided to move into this small Ottawa house with some girls that we knew from our res floor. For Andrea, moving into this house was new and exciting.
And moving into this house was so nice. It honestly feels kind of like a movie. The fact that it's just 5 of us in here having a good time. There's always something to do in this house because you have all these great roommates. Yeah.
As we moved into the house together, it all felt very unknown and took a while for everyone to adjust to the new norms. Between passive-aggressive sticky notes and unsynchronized laundry times, I felt as though I must tiptoe around the space, as if I couldn't take up any of it. I would call my mom and let the phone ring and ring, and if she wasn't home, it would go to voicemail. I found myself isolating in my little rabbit hole basement bedroom, listening to the laughter of my roommates through the vents. With every class online still, I carried through my days shyly and sheepishly leaving the house to go to the gym and come back. Because even though I was sitting alone, sometimes it felt like I could hear everything at once.
But I was also so happy right? Obviously,
We were trying to get together that day. I was ready to see them. But the rush of people
and moving into this house was so nice. honestly feels kind
But I
of
really
having a good time. Not always like something to do.
I found myself, and I lived my life as a now. My little online still grocery store shopping.
I feel like we're all a lot more comfortable with each other.
And then nothing at all. In these moments, I didn't know what 22 would look like for me. But I knew I needed to get home. This past summer at home was a period of revival. I spent the summer reconnecting with myself and letting the love of my family and friends wash over me. It was a good opportunity to restart and come back to Ottawa refreshed and ready for a new semester. Especially so that I could share in new memories with Andrea and my roommates, like our weekly family breakfasts.
After a night out, we'll do family breakfast the next morning when we all wake up. And it's really fun because someone will make the pancakes, someone will make like the bacon, someone will be making the coffee. It's just nice. It's all of us hanging out and getting a chance to like debrief from the night before, which is always really fun. And then we'll also do family dinners every once in a while where we'll either all order the same thing and like sit in the living room and watch TV, or we'll try to make something, which is usually a lot more complicated, but it's fun. And yeah, it's just a chance for all of us to hang out. I feel like we're all a lot more comfortable with each other. I feel like at least the first few months of the first year we lived in the house, everybody was kind of like finding their place and figuring out like how to coexist with everyone else. And I feel like now we've all found our place. We all know how to live together. So it's a lot more fun. I think there's a lot less squabbles than there were last year.
I thought that coming back to this room, just even the sight of it, would have me in tears. But it didn't. When I arrived this September, I felt more content. As Andrea shared just a few minutes ago, this house is a boisterous, loving space filled with memories. But for me, when it was new and far away, it was so scary. Now with time, it feels familiar and safe. I come upstairs and enjoy the company of my small house and life in Ottawa.
What classes do you guys have tomorrow?
And today, as I turned 22, it took me a while to think of how I came to Ottawa and the story behind it. And now I think I know that what makes it meaningful to me is the moment I began to feel peace in myself. And I can't wait to see what my 22nd year looks like.
Jordan, Rachel, and Caroline for sharing your projects with us. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Place of Sound. I hope this episode left you asking yourself some questions. And I want you to reflect on those questions and think back to the environments that you grew up in. What specific sounds shaped your home? Again, All these projects are produced by Carleton students in the Communication and Media Studies program. Before I sign off, a couple quick notes. The first is about the featured work section on the Place of Sound website. It's a blog that presents some of the individual projects you will hear or have heard on this show. On the site, you're of course able to play the audio work itself, but you can also see some of the original photos and the writing that students produce to go along with the audio. Since you can't see that writing or see the photos on the radio show, this is a great way to access it. So check that out on the blog section on theplaceofsound.ca. The second thing I want to mention is that if you enjoyed this show, you can listen back to previous episodes. You can find them in multiple places, on ckcufm.com, on the website, theplaceofsound.ca, or where you listen to other podcasts such as Apple Podcast or Amazon Podcast. Lastly, make sure you go check out our Instagram page at The Place of Sound to keep updated with new episodes and more information. Again, thank you so much for listening. My name is Sama Russel, and you'll be hearing more of me on this show. I'm excited to tell you guys a little more about myself and upcoming episodes, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and for now, goodbye!